Hey guys, come on in. Today, we're breaking down an insane session of 2-2 no limit Texas Hold'em against an absolute maniac whale where we came out on top, but not without some serious drama in between. The fella being pushed the chips, that is our main opponent for the evening. He's sitting right next to the dealer. He's probably one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet at a poker table. His name is Alan, and he has maniacal tendencies and splashes around for what seems like pure enjoyment on his part. So it's safe to call him a maniac whale, and I don't feel bad about it. Once he starts doing his thing, you just want to play against him. You're playing against Alan. You're playing against the whale. You're playing against the ATM. You want to isolate him. You want to watch what others do in response to his bets and what he does. And then you want to watch and see what they do in response to what you do in response to him and what he's doing. Literally the second hand of the evening, I look down at ace 2 of diamonds, a suited ace. I open $15. I got 250 effective, 250 behind. And we get some callers all the way around to Mr. Allen the Maniac. He's got pocket sixes. He's straddled, of course. And he raises, which is music to my ears. This is what I wanted to see from him. I believe to 115, I snap all in for my remaining 235. Again, I wanted to see how he'd react. And just wanted to learn about his behavior. What kind of, action was he really given tonight? And he thinks about it for a little bit. He's got a decent hand. We got everybody else to fold, which is what I spoke about earlier. We want to isolate here. And he makes the call. So pretty much playing perfectly as I wanted. A suited ace against a maniac. And then you flop the nuts. Straight right there. A little scary. We got 2 clubs on the board. A little scary. We get 3 clubs and an 8. So he's got a straight draw and a flush draw. But he bricks. And I take it down. We double up. And then some. Great way to start the session. So we're moving on to the next hand, and our maniac in the red shirt, Mr. Allen, is on the button. He button straddles. He just lost an all-in flip, or the majority of his stack at least. So he's adding on. He's got 500 effective behind. I have 500 behind. And it basically checks around. I look down at king, queen off. Once it gets around to him, everybody kind of just limps in. Want to see what the maniac's going to do. He bets out for 15. I call with king, queen off, and we get some other callers. I think just one other caller. We go to a flop where we flop pretty nice. It's a middle pair with a gut shot, of course, which is also nice. He leads out for 25. I, of course, call. I'm not going anywhere yet. That being said, very cautious with this connected board. We don't have a diamond, and gut shots are not very profitable, believe it or not, especially early on in the evening, but I want to see where I stand. I put out a bet, $55, and I really wanted to try to understand his bet sizing. So when he grabs another $100 chip, he basically indicated to me like, hey, please call me. It's very easy to grab a $100 chip. It is a kind of more of like a please call me sort of raise, and less of a put your money where your mouth is kind of raise. It's kind of easy to sniff out, especially with middle pair. No diamonds, based on that board being early in the game against an opponent I knew would be throwing money around. I'll just wait for a better spot with more information. So we make the fold, and it was the right play. I had 2 pair. I was drawing pretty slim there, So we move on to the next one. Okay, so the next hand, this is about 30 minutes later. I've basically been card dead for the past 30 minutes, which doesn't sound like a lot. It could be way worse. We're only 1 hour into the stream. The stream's about 5 hours long. Allen's been punting his stacks, and I want some of those Allen bucks. I'm sitting here just absolutely distraught from not being able to play a single hand in the past 30 minutes. I think I I had to fold one hand prior to this. I'm at about 420 effective. Allen just punted his stack with 2-3 off. So it's pretty much a coin flip calling an all-in from Allen at this point. Again, I want to play with this Maniac as much as possible. So my range is very wide here. He actually opens up this time with $50 bet. Turns out he actually has a good hand with jacks. I have queen 5 suited. That's a premium in my mind right now against Allen. So I call that immediately. I initially thought he was making a play with his opening bet, $50 opening bet. And I love playing a suited queen. So when the flop comes and I hit that 5, he puts me all in, I snap call. Simple as that. I want to play as many hands as possible with this guy who's giving away free money. I hit a pair on the flop, it's something, and I would flip for the rest. We don't improve, we lose the hand, we rebuy, we had the chips ready. Not thinking about anything else but playing with this Maniac on the table, this whale on the table. You need to feed these type of players and give them action. Poker is about gamesmanship. It's about manipulation. I planted an idea in this man's mind that I too am a maniac, and I'm willing to go all in with any two cards. To me, it was clear as day. If you're not playing, if you're not getting in there with this guy, you're not making money. It's as simple as that. We're having fun. We're having a good time. I am under the gun +1 here. And I look down at pocket eights. I believe we have about 400 behind at this point. So I'm opening that standard open, $15 at this sort of table. Typically, I'm opening for $12 on a normal 2-2 table. Action packed like this one, I'm opening a little bit wider, a little bit bigger. And I'm happy to see when it gets to our main man, Action Allen, he raises to $32. Now, this is a min raise, so it made me think maybe he had a better hand than he was letting on. So I don't have to think long about this. I call. Everybody else pretty much calls. So we're off to see a flop 4 ways. Jack 3-3, 2 spades. On this paired board, I think about it for a second. Checks to me, and I take the betting lead to isolate Allen. So I make it a pretty good size bet, $85, about 2/3 pot, a little bit less than 2/3. Allen thinks about it. He calls. So again, kind of reinforcing that if he has a good hand or a decent hand, he will stick in there. He's just going to call. He's not going to raise. As we can see, he's got pocket 7s. So he checks to me on the turn, and I bet 125, leaving 153 behind at this point. I was still fairly confident that I had the best hand, and he thinks about it. He calls. So at this point, I'm basically committed with 153 behind. The king of hearts comes on the river. Allen puts me all in. Looking back, I feel like I probably should have just snap called this all in. I just wanted to think about it a little bit. I know I'm already pot committed. I know I probably should just snap this off, but I wanted to think about if I was actually winning or not. I'm not opposed to just adding on to my stack and saving my money. But I get that you're just supposed to snap this off. I call. I get shown the good news. We out-pip Allen 8s over 7s. I just wanted to make the right call, and we did. And we move on to the next. This is the start of something. This is the start of something right here. We're catching a little bit of a wind here in our sails, and we're only about an hour and a half into the game. Now this is the hand of the night, in my opinion. Allen comes back, announces to the table. He will call anything in the blind up to $100. He also button straddled. First to act, calls the straddle. I look down at a premium, pocket 10s. make it $20 to go, expecting to get 3-bet to at least $100. Then something a bit unexpected happens after the person to my left calls my $20 bet. I hear Ben say out loud that he'll do $100 after I open raise and somebody else called my opening raise. To which Alan then 4-bets to $300, still in the blind. I'm not next to act, but I immediately grab my chips. I want the next act to fold, which me grabbing the chips indicates, oh, I'm definitely calling at least, which works perfectly. So I think about it, because I still have a couple people behind me. I want as many people out as possible, and I ultimately shove all in for $771. When I fade the snap call, I know I'm ahead right now, and I immediately put Ben on ace-king, which we can see at this point. He does have ace-king suited. He checks his cards again. I know I'm ahead. And the way he just throws his hands up in the air and announces all in, I know I'm ahead. His whole demeanor at the table just indicates to me I'm ahead. And when I fade another snap call from Alan, I definitely know I'm ahead. Now we get to Alan in the tank. Alan is in the tank for probably close to 2 minutes here with Jack 6 off. Obviously we know by now he's a maniac. He's a whale. He's getting all the money in. He's just having a good time. I don't know why you just don't get out of the way here. Maybe you have your $300 committed already. It's only $700 more to call. I don't know. Ultimately, he thinks about it, and the more he thinks about it, the more I see how uncomfortable Ben becomes. So we got everything kind of playing in our favor up until this point. And it feels good to know you're ahead just by picking up on these sorts of live reads, these live tells. And Alan tanks for probably about a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes. So as you can see, he counts the chips out. And I kind of think that he was doing this just to make Ben uncomfortable, to be honest with you. I don't know. Maybe he was weighing his odds or whatever. But he's already got so much skin in the game. You've been given so much action all night. I don't understand why you don't. To me, it felt like he was just trying to make a sweat before ultimately making his decision that he's going to call. It's a 3-way all in. We get straight to it. I show my 10s. I table my 10s. And there's a very sweaty flop that gives Alan a pair and more outs. And Ben still has 2 overs and the nut flush draw. The turn in the river, very, very clean for me. So I know I win against Ben. Alan takes a second or two to table his hand, and I'm relieved to see 10s are good for all the money. And we take down a $2,800 pot. That's almost $1,600 profit. Ben calls it a night after this hand. Can't say that I blame him. Unlucky for that guy. We are sun running against a maniac whale. Everybody else just needs to stay out of our way. Stay out of my way. But anyway, this was a good one. This was a relief to win. And when you're pulling all those chips in, it feels damn good. And we are officially strapped to the rocket, boys. We are strapped. And we are flying. This time, we are under the gun +1. We look down at a premium ace-king off. And we open the action. We've bumped up our openings to $20. Only because the action and the size of my stack. I'm kind of using my stack as a bit of a bludgeon at this point. I am abusing anybody who tries to get in the pot. You want to play some poker, you better have something to come to the table with, because I'm taking all your money. And we get a call from Hoy, who is a good player, kind of staying out of the way a little bit. Allen raises to 155. Easy call for me. It gets the player to my left to fold. And surprisingly, Hoy calls. Hoy stacks about $500, so it's leaving him with about $360 behind. And we get a very nice flop with a king in the window there. King 9-3, 2 clubs. Allen checks it over to me. With top pair and a club draw on the board, I know Hoy has about 360 behind. I think about it for a little bit. That's about 2/3 the side of the pot. I go ahead and make it 360 to go, thinking that I'm going to get called by any other king. I'm thinking that I'm going to get called by any other flush draw. If you whatever. If you got trips, so be it. But I'm willing to let the fates decide. Of course, he's got a club draw, as we can see, so I'm in good shape. We basically put him all in. He calls pretty quickly. And we see a run out here. And it's clean. No club. Nice profit of $693 coming our way. And we move on to the next. I'm in the cutoff. I look down at pocket jacks. The action limps around to Allen. Allen pops it to $20. We get a call from our new buddy Hogan on our right. I repop to $75. Again, the name of the game is isolate. We're isolating Allen, the ATM machine. That's my ATM machine, everybody. Everybody else just needs to wait in line. The flop 4, King 6, 2 diamonds. Could be better for me, but when it checks to me, I want to see where I'm at. So I bet 135 is about half pot bet. And I get a insta call from Allen, which basically tells me he has something. He's got something here. He could have a straight draw potentially. He could have just a pair. I don't think he has a king, but he could. But the information is he's got something. Hogan is in the tank for a little bit here. He thinks on it. In my mind, my bet should fold out anybody with a 6 or a 4. We can see here that Allen has a 4. He's calling immediately. So the premise is a little bit different considering the circumstances. Now, when Hogan calls, he's more likely to have a king. But I could also see him potentially having a draw, specifically the diamond draw there. And when the king comes on the turn, I know immediately I'm in the lead. Specifically when Allen checks over, when Hogan checks over, it just reconfirms I'm in the lead here. At this point, I check because here's why. It's kind of a deceptive check. I think about betting, but to be honest with you, I wanted somebody to bluff into me. I run the risk of, maybe a flush gets there, but I'm willing to, take that chance. When the river comes 7 of clubs, the flushes miss. I'm hoping that somebody has a missed flush draw. Somebody is going to bet here, and it's not going to be Allen. And I look over at Hogan, what he's doing with his chips, and he's counting them out. He puts in a good-sized bet, 275. There's not much to think about. I pretty much immediately grabbed chips. Like I said, once I saw that second king, I ruled him out having a king. And it kind of just left him with a diamond draw, which missed. And we take down a good profit of $715. I think this is just a well-played hand by me. I had a good read on the situation, and we followed through. So the old rope them into bluffing off their stack works in this case. Basically, everything went according to plan, and it makes me feel good. That doesn't happen all the time. So every once in a while, you can throw that in there, and you make a little bit more money. Chances are, I bet that king on the turn, and everybody folds. It's great when there's an ATM at the table. It's even better when you're getting hit with the deck. When you are literally getting hit with the deck. We got Allen. He's in the cutoff. He raises to $50 with 6-7 suited. I looked down at a premium. We got jacks. So I raised him to 200. I looked at his stack. Saw he had about 500 remaining. I was really hopeful this would just weed out the pack. And then we'd get Allen to just shove all in. And we get what we want. We get exactly what we want. And that's isolating the whale yet again. Jacks versus 6-7 suited. We get the absolute worst flop and turn imaginable for pocket jacks. But it's Allen. And he shows 6-7 suited. We're good. We take it down. Plus 590. Very easy hand for us. Very easy situation to be in. So the sun run continues. As you can see, Allen's got a ton of money in his hand, so he's doing all right. He's apparently a very successful businessman. He's just out here having fun. So I'm not complaining. I'm very grateful. I'm very fortunate that I've been getting hit with the deck in this night. There's just a little bit left for you. So a couple new players on the table. I straddle. Allen's gone. So the dynamic of the table completely changes. Now, I've developed a profile on just basically everybody on the table, whether they played with me or not. You know, how they respond to aggression, what they're being aggressive with, how they bet, so on and so forth. The tight player to my left, he opens for $20. I'm proceeding cautiously. The button calls as well, who's also a tight player. Again, proceeding with caution with both of these guys. Their profile to me is they're opening tight. They probably have aces. They have some kings in there. They have suited ace, kings, queens, stuff like that. I look down at ace 10. I call with that. And we end up seeing a nice flop here. We flop top pair. But it's very connected, very wet board. We got 5, 6, 10, 2 diamonds. We got top pair, top kicker. I'm going to bet that 100% of the time, especially with how connected the board is. I make a pretty meaty bet here, 55 into 64. So basically, you know, more than 75% pot here. You're playing a face-up hand if you're calling me here. So you either have a straight draw or a flush draw. When Mark calls, he's the tight player here. The 9 of clubs comes, so if he has 7-8, he absolutely gets there. I don't know for sure if he has that yet or not. I think about it for a bit, and I bet $85 into 174, about half pot. So I think that was a bit of a misstep I wanted to address there. I think I should have sized up a bit more, maybe 120, 125. I had noticed this guy doesn't really, when he has some sort of draw, he definitely sticks around. 5 of diamond comes on the river, and I check over to him. He assembles a bet of $250, about 3/4 of the pot. And there's not really much to think about, honestly. I know I'm beat here. I end up folding, and he ends up showing that he does have a flush. The only thing that we really could have done differently is bet bigger on the turn. I don't know if that would have gotten the button to fold, though. Just being that he was pretty sticky in other spots where there was draws to be hit. And when you're going into the river with a flush and straight draw, there was not much merit in him folding to any size bet unless I just went all in. And if he would have called my all in, then I would have lost the max. So maybe against a different opponent, I bet bigger and we take it down. But just wanted to show this one. Thought it was a pretty decent hand to kind of go over and see in real time. It's the last hand of the night for me, and it's also the very next hand. I look down at ace king suited, and I'm in the big blind. The under the gun +1 opens for $12. We get one caller, and then I think the action's on me. I go to make a bet, and it turns out the action's still on the small blind. So I tell him, hey, I was going to make a $35 bet. I go ahead and make the bet, and I get called by the under the gun opener. And the next act thinks about it for a little bit and ultimately makes the fold. That's the name of the game. We're isolating. That's what we want. We don't want as many people in the hand. We want to get people out of the hand. We prefer to go heads up to a flop, which we do. It's a king 7-3. And I bet 3/4 of the pot here. Let me know what you have here. This is a feeler bet for me. It's very polarizing. I know you have a king at this point. You call my $75 bet. I check to see what my opponent's going to do when we get a 4 on the turn. He checks back, and the river comes out a king. So I hit trips. I think, okay, what do I even get a call from here other than a king? So if he does have a king, he's going to raise me if I put in a value bet, right? Like I put in a small bet in relation to the pot, $75, 30% pot, and he just calls. So it was just kind of odd. I figured any strong king would raise me here. Maybe I'm taking the weird line here. Maybe it was obvious that I was just always going to have it there, which is very likely considering what's been happening all night. I don't know. Maybe I just incite fear in the rest of the table. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with I just incite fear in the rest of the table. Let's go with that. Obviously, would have been great to make some more money on this, but it is what it is. Absolute juicer of a game, though, guys. We end the night up $3,700 in a 2-2 game. I'm very grateful for this. Very, very happy that you all are able to bear witness to something that was just, for one, very fun, and for two, very profitable. I hope you enjoyed learning how to play against a Maniac whale. Now all you got to do is you got to get yourself on a table with a Maniac whale. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for being here with me, partaking in the shenanigans.